So I was just going to write this in my journal and eventually try to make it into a blog post, but I decided to go ahead and verbalize it in the self talk. I was just thinking about as I was running through the house, doing errands and things like that in the house before I sit down to do any of my work, how we talk about everyone having the same 24 hours in a day. Now, that might be true, but not everybody has the same amount of responsibilities within that 24-hour period. So that changes everything, When I think about people who, you know, so I'm going to do a surface talk here. So if you think about naturally people who are single compared to people who are married or people who have families, yes, technically, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But if you look at each person's life, we don't necessarily have the same amount or type. So it's not necessarily all about the amount or type of responsibilities within that same 24-hour period. So there's still always going to be this exception to that rule. And so as people start to kind of like dissect a lot of these quotes and these inspirational wisdom content that's out there, the one thing that I try to do is to be fair, whenever I post things like that, they're just like blanket statements. I try to be fair in just kind of analyzing them for myself first and just seeing if it relates. And if it is a blanket statement, I do try to add some tidbits of information, particularly connected to my own life, that either make the statement true for me or not true or somewhere in between. But that really just stuck out to me today because I'm thinking about people that I know that, yes, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but our responsibilities are different. Like when I think about the responsibilities that I'm taking care of right now in this season, I'm trying to make sure that my family is secure and just kind of ready to weather the storm of this next season. Okay, it could be winter storms, whatever. All of that. And I do try to make sure that my house is maintained in a way that makes things easier for us to manage life as the weather changes and things like that. My son is no longer in high school, he is out, but we've transitioned into what are ways that we can transition him into his young adult life. So that's another set of responsibilities, another set of conversations that have to happen, and just a whole lot of things. And then I have a daughter who just turned 14, and she just started high school. So I am back at the beginning stages of helping to kind of oversee, the whole high school experience all over again, right? And so when I think about families that have more than one child, they're stair steps behind, or maybe there are gaps in ages. Yeah, 24 hours in a day, yeah, blanket statement, great. But the set of responsibilities and the amount of attention that has to go into each one of those, it's going to vary. So I never want to be one of those ones to make those types of statements and just not be aware that is not always helpful to the mass of people out there, and especially now in these days and times. I think that's pretty much the bulk of what I really wanted to share about that. To bring it back to me a little bit more, I was walking around and I was thinking about just my set of responsibilities as I was naming previously. But outside of that, there's other things that I am tackling and doing and trying to manage, and it's just me here in this household. And so I have to learn that I have to extend a whole new level of grace to myself, because No. Did I expect to be doing this level of work and intensity and kid rearing and, just kind of emotional supporting myself, my children, on my own? I That was not part of the plan. So um, I have to realize that doing this to this degree on my own, there's going to be some gaps. There's going to be some times where I fall off. And the times that I fall off, I have got to put more attention back into me. And sometimes it means that some other things are not going to get checked off. I just got off of a long-term project um, that, it transitioned and I needed to move on to whatever my next level is. Um, and I needed a break. I tell myself within any type of transition or season where I'm transitioning, I try to give myself 3 days, 3 weeks, and 30 days to get over the hump. So that means I give myself a little extra grace. I, kind of remind myself that this is temporary. This will pass. Any feelings of just heaviness, or because sometimes moving on from things, even if the parting was mutual, even if the parting was your decision, a lot of times it carries its own, like, it's like a clearing out that has to happen. So I've spent the last 30 days with a clearing out, and I've had to remind myself, okay, you've taken your 3 days, you've had your 3 weeks, you had your 30 days, now how do you feel? And so when I asked myself that, how do I feel now, I realized that there's just some more work there. So I might take another 3 days and see how I feel, another 3 weeks, and another 30 days to see how I'm feeling and how I would like to transition next. So I just wanted to say that if you are struggling with the whole concept of everyone has 24 hours in a day, just know that you can kind of scrap that, and create your own. A lot of the stuff that's out there, all these encouragement stuff, it's meant to encourage, but sometimes it just doesn't. It doesn't land where it's supposed to land. Maybe it's just not your season. Just keep scrolling, I guess. Keep scrolling, you'll find something else. But I just wanted to do this video particularly for myself and my own self-talk, to remind myself that, I've been through seasons that have been similar to this, and I've used the same technique, the same strategy, and I have always, 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 always come around the corner, or made it over the hump, or gone through the transition and figured something out. So I'm going to take this moment and finish healing my body, because I felt like I went on a downward spiral in my just immunity. I just felt like, am I getting sick? So I had to, like, what am I doing? What do I need to do more of? The water. I just started back at the gym, at the rec center, to get some steps in and some weight training, which I've been trying to do that forever. It just feels like I've been trying to do that forever. But I finally got that done. I even slowed down on my coffee, so that was another thing this past week or so. Hasn't quite been a week. I just eliminated coffee and did the turmeric tea, and just kind of give my body a reset and kind of clear it from some of the caffeine that might have been wreaking havoc over time, because that can happen. But I have my cup of coffee today, so I'm rewarding myself for those adjustments with 1 cup of coffee today. So it's things like that. So if that doesn't resonate with you anymore, it's okay. We're all dealing with different levels of things, different levels of intensity and responsibility, and taking care of a house and home, working on your passion, building a business, building relationships, maintaining the relationships that you have. All of that stuff takes time, it takes attention, and when your household, you are the only one or the core person that is managing all of that. First of all, I have to give myself a pat on the back, and I encourage you to do the same. High five yourself in the mirror. Mel Robbins talks about that a lot, about high fiving yourself in the mirror. So maybe you might want to check out some of her stuff too. But I'm just like, I have done and gotten through some really, really tough seasons. Some really tough seasons, and I'm still standing. I'm still working on myself. I'm still making adjustments. I'm still making improvements. And this is part of the journey. This is part of what I signed up for when I said I wanted to live a life, that's more creative and more for me, and my goals and my dreams. This is just part of the path. This is what comes along with it. Not everything is going to get done. And sometimes you have to start over. Sometimes you have to try again. But I'm determined to do all of that, and I had a day yesterday. I was struggling, just mentally not present. I just could not bring myself to the present. So I had to go and lay down. I had to stop everything that I thought I was going to do and go take my butt upstairs and lay down. And I kid you not, when I went to lay down, I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't even get to a sleep. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to lay here with my eyes closed and just let myself rest however I can rest. I let the thoughts bubble away, because the thoughts were, they were on 100. They were going and going and circling and circling. I said, you know what? I'm going to lay here and meditate, rest this thing, and let it do its thing. And I kid you not, I was up there with my eyes closed, resting, but not sleep. It felt like 3 hours. And I honestly didn't even look at the clock. I know it was at least 2. But I did that, and then finally when I realized that I wasn't actually going to go into a deep REM sleep, I went ahead and got up, and I said to myself, okay, so I had the rest, I did all the rumbling, what can I do now? What can I do next? And to be honest with you, I don't even remember everything that I did next. I think I may have come downstairs and worked on a novel and did some writing. So that was just part 2 of me extending my meditation and my getting my thoughts out of my head, letting it rumble, and then getting it out of my head and putting it onto some paper, my laptop. And I did that. And so when I woke up this morning, I was like, okay, what can I do today? And I said, okay, I've been trying to get my membership at my recreation center back on board. They've got a whole new system on how they do things. And so I got up, got myself in that system, and I was ready to go work out. I had my 20 minutes of my walking, and then I went to do just a little bit of weight training to try to get myself used to being out of the house. And so anyway, so I did that, and then I got this phone call that I had been kind of waiting to hear back about something that I had been working on. And so I got some feedback on that, and so that call brought some of my anxiety down, because I've been just really, really working on that. And so I'm just glad that call happened, because it really eased some of the anxiety that I was carrying around, really not knowing. So anyway, that turned out good. And then I came home, and then I just started doing things, and I'm like, well, what can I do next? What's important? And so that's how I ended up here. And I'm like, okay, I haven't really had a full breakfast yet. Let me have my oatmeal, my little piece of cheese, and I've got bananas that I'll probably eat a little bit later. I'm going to have this coffee and just take care of me today. Finish, taking care of me today. Yesterday was rough. I didn't really do too much for myself other than try to lay down and try to reset myself. So anyway, yeah, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but sometimes you just do it all in a day. And sometimes all that needs to be done, you're going to have to sit back down and reassess. Does it have to be done today? Is there anything what could go wrong today if that wasn't worked on today? Or if that wasn't the priority today? And if the answer is immediately nothing, then it might have to get skipped, because there's only so much bandwidth one person has to be able to do and manage all of this stuff. So this is my little message to myself, that I hear you and I validate my own feelings, and I'm looking forward to getting past this hump this season, in a healthy way, in a holistic and healthy way.